Hey family, it's Tasha, MAMABEAR prepping. You already know what time it is. Get your drink, pull up. I have Papa Bear's cup today. It's a good sized cup, so sometimes when my other ones are not available, I like to just grab me this one because it's a good size. I have one like this, but it's chipped on the side. And I just tend to not pick it anymore. So let's get into it. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel where we just talk about emergency preparedness in general. We talk about natural disasters, ways to get ready for different crisis events that are going to come your way. Okay. And really, I just talk about what me and my family do to give you some ideas. Now, I want to just talk about in general, very loosely, just have a conversation about preparing, getting ready. Okay. The things that are happening in the news around the world and how to prepare. I 100% believe that we are more reactive than proactive, and that's half of the problem, right? We on this channel, my family, other families like mine, are of the mindset to be proactive. Proactive is what is going to, I guess, make you successful when something horrific comes your way, right? For you to be able to maintain some sort of quality of life, keep your mental game up, spiritual game up, all of those things, kind of navigating through something that's horrific, right? Catastrophic event. And so being proactive more than reactive. However, we are, as a country, we are more reactive, right? But there's something to be learned with that. So you have everything that's happening now currently. You have everything that will happen, things around the corner that haven't quite happened yet. Some of those things people like me predict, right? We think these things are going to happen. We prepare for these things to happen, and they may or may not happen. And then there's strong red flags that do indicate that things will absolutely happen, but it's uncertain of when they will happen, right? But again, if your thought is proactive, that's what it's about, is what are the scenarios, what are the things that could happen, and then how can we prepare to get ahead of them, to be ahead of them, to cause my family the least amount of stress and drama, right? Oftentimes I get questions, simple questions: how to start prepping, why to prep, what's going on, what's happening, what should I do, what should I get? I just think that the time for action is now, a time for urgency is now. I'll keep beating that drum until this channel is taken down. I think it's important that, I stress food, water, meds. The meds part of that, so the first two pieces, food, water, you have to have those to live, right? And so you have to have those stockpiled, and in your mind be thinking how you would get more, how you could hide from people, how you would protect what you have of that. Because at the end of the day, those are the two things that people are going to be literally murdering people over to get. Okay, people need that to live. People will die without that. People are going to die because they're not going to have those two things, or they're going to maybe have the second thing. They're going to have water, but they're not going to know how to make it safe. That's going to kill them. So those two things, you have to live. And then the medicine, you could argue you need to live. My argument is that you cannot be prepared or be thinking that 911 is going to be there, that hospitals are going to be there, that the manpower for hospitals is going to be there. None of that stuff is going to be available in certain crisis. I mean, your little town could be hit by a tornado and flattened, right? Nobody's coming to help you. Yes, there's people around surrounding states. People are going to come and help you. But my point is, you may have to do stuff until help comes, or because help is never coming if it's, that big of an event. Okay. We talk about EMP and that type of thing, grid down, huge cyber attack, just all the things that they're talking about now. You have to rely on your skills at that point. Yes, cool, whatever stockpiled stuff you have, I call that transition stockpile, right? Whether you have 6 months, a year, 2 years, 10 years, that's your buffer to then transition as peacefully and as easy as you can into a world of doing stuff yourself, learning how to do stuff yourself before you're completely out of the luxury items, right? Or you have enough to get you through an event, right? The event is going to be a year long and you had enough to get you through it, you and your family through it, okay? I'm trying to tell you that medicine's going to play a huge piece of that, because we're so we're so used to we just pick up the phone, or we get on, a telecom with our doctor, or we go to the doctor. We have urgent cares, we have hospitals, we have ERs, we have this, we have that, right? All these things, all these people that we can go to, talk to get better, to ask, hey, this is my symptoms, this is what's going on with me, now help me, right? You're going to have to essentially be able to do that yourself. You're going to have to go through symptoms, have enough literature, have enough knowledge to begin to hopefully help yourself feel better and heal yourself, right? So you've got to know your holistic stuff, your natural stuff. You've got to have your over-the-counter stuff. You've got to figure out what your backups are for prescriptions when prescriptions are gone. Are you on something that you can wean yourself off of, or are you on something that's life-saving, right? What are your options? What are your backups? And get those things now. You're running out of time, essentially, because we do not know when the big events are going to happen, right? Right now, it's a slow burn. There's all types of mini stuff just everywhere, right? In my gut this morning, I woke up, I see this earthquake stuff happening. I see the train derailment yesterday. That was all in my gut. Fire everywhere. Okay. And so I'm peaking because I'm like, okay, there's a lot of fires happening everywhere. You have Chile. All of Chile is on fire. They've already burned more in this one fire than they normally do in a whole year. Like, fires everywhere, okay? Earthquakes, that's such a dangerous situation, not because buildings are falling. Yes, obviously, buildings are collapsing, falling, people are getting trapped, but there's so many other things that happen when earthquakes happen. Fires, you have gas lines that break, you have water lines, you have flooding, you have just a multitude of things that are happening outside of just the main thing of being crushed, right, from a building or an overpass, or falling to your death in your car because the bridge collapses, whatever, right? There's a lot of other things, and to me, fire keeps coming up. Fire, how to prepare for fire, fire from marauders, fire from I just have fire in my head right now. And how do you prepare for that? Because the world is burning. It truly is burning right now. Okay. On top of medicines, medical supplies, being able to do the basics, stitch up, just something basic that is a deep cut, enough that it needs to be cleaned out. It could get infected. You need to be able to stitch it up. Those basic things can save somebody's life, okay? A little cut can turn into an infection and then turn to death, right? So you have to have the medical supplies to be able to check somebody's blood pressure, right? Their pulse, just basic medical items, a tourniquet, a suture kit, right? Thermometers, Band-Aids, Neosporin, just burn creams. I could go on all day, okay? I'm not here to give you a medical, video, but you're running out of time to be able to get these things because they're going to be regulated or they're going to run out. There's several ways that this could go and how we get from where we are right now and our ability to get over-the-counter meds and over-the-counter medical supplies to where something happens and we are now can't get it. Imagine something comes along that is way worse than COVID and you think you're going to go to Amazon and order it. I don't know if you remember, but there were certain places that shut down where you would have normally been able to get, let's say, gloves, and they shut it down because they were like, no, we're going to sell it to the hospitals, right? Something major happens, that stuff is cut off, right? We've already had shortages in basic pain meds, basic antibiotics, basic things. Imagine something bigger happens. You're not going to be able to get PPE. You're not going to be able to get medical supplies. The things that you would need to treat certain symptoms, if certain diseases and infections and bacterias and viruses and all these things happen, you're not going to be able to get those things. And so you're running out of time in the sense of it's time to take action. You need to go out and get the things while you have the ability to do so. Now, listen, I understand if you don't have the extra money to do this, right? To be frank, I'm not talking to you because if you just don't have it, you just don't have it. You have to do what you are able to do in your capacity. But if you're watching this and you're like, I have a little bit of extra money and I want to know what to put it towards in regard to preparedness, you need food, you need water, you need meds, you need medical supplies. You need books and literature that will teach you how to do things when there's no internet anymore. When you're not able to just Google a question and get the answer. You have to have books on how to cook, how to hunt, clean animals, raise animals, grow food. I mean, medical procedures, medical information, holistic information about plants and trees and foraging. Like, you need this literature, right? You need to have this stuff so that you're able to teach yourself. Fix-it books, do-it-yourself books, building books, right? Project type books, off-grid, homesteading type books, books that teach you the ways of our ancestors, the way our ancestors did things, right? And you could be getting that stuff now and teaching yourself that stuff now. And then you get the convenient things off of Amazon that then make that project easier. The things that our ancestors didn't have, right? That extra tool they didn't have, but boy, if they had that, they would have saved themselves tons of back-breaking, work doing one, little project, right? What are the tools you need to be able to do what they did in a little bit more efficient way, right? Times are tough, but this is nothing. They're going to get 10 times worse, and something catastrophic is coming. And are you going to be ready for it? You're stockpiling food, staples, freeze drying food, thinking about the future, canning, pressure canning meat. Meat is a big issue. They're trying to take it away. We're trying to go to this meatless world, this electronic way of living, right? This AI way of living. How do you prepare for that? They're trying to do that. A digital dollar. How do you get ready for that? And how do you prepare so that you can navigate through that the way that you want to navigate through it, if at all, right? How do you get ready for that? All these videos I'm watching about Walmart, a lot of videos about Walmart and AI and how there's not going to be workers, and you go in and, it's just, you've got to get ahead of that. And the way you do that is you stockpile what you need now. You stockpile that quality of life stuff. You start teaching yourself the skills that are needed to be able to live by yourself, off grid, on your own, depending on yourself, your family depending on yourself, and your community that you hopefully are building up, okay? You can't do it alone. I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's much, much harder, okay? But you've got to get ready, right? You've got to get ready for the possibilities of war. Like, where in your home is the safest place to go if you get an alarm saying there's incoming missiles? Okay, maybe you don't make it through that, but if you make it through that, where is the place you go to try to wait it out for fallout, right? And what does that mean? What barriers do you have, right? Do you have a basement? To me, that's a poor man's bunker. There's so many possibilities if you have a basement. You're already well ahead of a lot of people. And a lot of people be like, well, I don't have a bunker. But they have like the ability already kind of in place, if you will. The bones are there to make a fabulous bunker within a basement. I mean, it's there. The structure's there. You're already way ahead of people that don't have. We don't have a basement here. I 100% wish we did. We don't. So here I am trying to figure out where's the safest place in our house that we would go to try to, save ourselves and have a barrier against the radiation that is, landing on our home, blowing over our home, whatever the case may be, right? And some people don't want to, think about this. Okay, fine. Don't think about it. I don't care. I'm not losing sleep if you're not going to think about this, or if you're like, I just give up, I'm going to lay down. None of us are making it through that. Fine. That's fine. That's your cup of tea. That's fine. But for those of you that are like me, will try to survive as much as possible, those are the things that we prepare, right? We prepare for grid down. How do you live life without power? It doesn't matter how it comes. It doesn't matter if it's, somebody in our country trying to attack stuff and take it down. It doesn't matter if it's the enemy. It doesn't matter if it comes through a cyber attack. It doesn't come through our own, inability to protect our infrastructure that's trash right now, and it just finally breaks down and we don't have the stuff to, fix it. If that's what it comes down to and we just don't have power, how do you live with no power? And really what I mean is, what have you stockpiled to help that transition to living a life where there's no power ever again? That's all it is, right? You're not stockpiling and trying to stockpile enough lamp oil to last you for the rest of your natural life, right? That's not the goal. The goal is, okay, where does lamp oil come from? How could I make our own? How could we? You need to teach yourself the skills. And then the preps, the things you're buying is to help with quality of life and maybe doing things in a more efficient way, right, than our ancestors did. But also it's to help you transition into, doing things differently, much slower, in a different way with zero power, right? In a world where it's never coming back, okay? Or the thought process is that you're preparing as if, so that if it never comes back, you're mentally transitioning to that, right? What else did I have? Some notes. Growing food, raising animals. I can't stress it. Every day we talk about another animal that we really, really need. And it just makes us realize that, some of those things we could get here, and some of those things, just the reality is we don't have enough room here for those. Could we make it here, and could we just say no to those certain animals? Absolutely, absolutely, right? Because it's our situation. You have to live within your means and your situation. Now, I've already told you, we're looking at stuff, and a lot of that is, how do we get a place where we can accommodate the things that we truly want to get, the animals that we want to get. And all animals are there for a certain thing that they would provide for us, right? We would feed them, love them, and then they would then return and provide something for us that would be, something that's helping us, live, right? So I'm excited, right? But learning how to grow your own food, there's a learning curve, right? Growing your own food has to be done. Got to start it. Just jump in with both feet this season, right now. Start researching right now the zone you live in, the foods, the top crops that grow where you live. Go get your seeds. Figure out where you're going to get your dirt and your compost and stuff locally, right? Not don't go to Home Depot and get bagged soil. Just don't even do that, right? Find a local place and go get you some. I'm telling you right now, like, it's very, very important right now to not waste your time not doing something to get ready. You have got to concentrate on being proactive right now. Weatherizing your home, can't stress it enough. Weather is changing, extremes on both sides, extreme cold weather, extreme hot weather. You've got to start preparing, if you have not already, on each of those individual seasons and the things that it brings you and your family. What are the negatives that brings that you have to worry about? Is it wind? Is it snow? Is it ice? Is it heat? Right? How does that affect animals? How does that affect growing? You might be the best gardener ever, but if you don't really, really watch and pay attention to what's happening with the weather and the changing, seasons are shifting. Cold snaps, for example, will happen when they're not supposed to happen, and then you lose stuff, right? Flooding is happening when you maybe aren't expecting flooding. Hail is happening where you're not expecting. Wind is taking out stuff. So you really, really have to look at your game, really pay attention to what is happening in your garden, in your greenhouse, in your area with the temperatures, and really get smart on that, because that could be horrific if you're not paying attention and you have a whole crop, a whole garden is wiped out because you weren't paying attention to the weather and watching what was about to happen, right? Some stuff you can't get ready for, but there's stuff that you can do. Okay. I just think that it's important for your home, weatherizing your home, getting your home ready for that day when there's no power. And how do you keep that space warm? How do you keep your family warm when it's hot and there's no power? How do you keep your place cool? How do you get that wind flow and that air going and keeping the house cool? Those two extremes need to be buckled down tight. You need to understand now your house, without power, what you would have to do to be able to keep it cool and to both warm it, right? If you don't have wood stove, you need to get a wood stove, if at all possible, in your home, right? If you have a gas, you need to look at permits. You need to look at the ability to switch that out to a wood to give yourself options. You have to have options. And when we talk about no power, we talk about eventually that gas is not there. That's maybe gas for cooking. That's maybe gas for baking. That's maybe gas gas for a washer, a dryer. Maybe that's gas for heating your home. You have several. I cannot stress that you have to have another option, especially if you live somewhere cold. If you live somewhere where it gets freezing, you better have some options, baby. Like it's about to be rough, and we need to do it now. Take action right now while you have the ability to openly buy things and get things, right? You should be stockpiling food right now before you're rationing and you have a chip in your hand and they're like, you can't come in without this chip, or you can't come in without a credit card, and you have to show who you are. I have to see your bank account. I'm maybe going to ration what you're going to buy because of whatever you bought last time that I can see on your credit card, right? That is the world that we're going towards. More control, more tracking, more technology, right? It's crazy. So how do you get ready for these things? You have to be proactive, and reactive is not the way to be. You have to get ready for the next pandemic. What are you doing to get ready for the next pandemic? You need to get ahead of that as far as PPE now. You need to get ahead of that as far as your cleaning supplies now. You need to get ahead of anything symptom-wise. Think of each symptom and what do you have in your stockpile for each of those symptoms, and get those things. And then what is your holistic backup for those things, right? These are the things that you need to be ensuring that you have. How do you, somebody gets extremely sick in your home, how are you quarantining them? For real quarantine. I'm not talking about some BS FEMA camp quarantine. I'm talking about somebody in your home caught something nasty, or they're sick. There's something deadly going around and that person's sick and you have to quarantine them. Plastic, doors shut, plastic over windows, right? They are away from other people. You are going in with a full suit if you are having to do anything for them, right? Changing their emergency toilets, giving them food, right? Giving them water, giving them medicine, treating symptoms. You have to have full, it's going to be you. So you have to have full everything, full important PPE to keep you safe and to keep that person completely quarantined away from the rest of your family. Like, do you have that thought process in your head of where that would happen at, right? I'm telling you, I know it's heavy, but the thing is it's not even heavy to me anymore. The more you do this and the more you make it part of your life, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I'm not sitting here talking about the sky is falling in my house. I'm doing the same stuff you guys are doing. We're doing stuff with our families. We're watching shows. We're going outside. We're doing projects. We're going places. I go grocery shopping. Like, hubby goes to work. Like, we're doing all the normal things that people are doing. We're not sitting here, the sky is falling, but we are making efforts, right? Priority of effort towards the things that need to be taken care of in order to prepare for certain crises that might come our way. Okay. And a lot of those things are things that we know will come our way. We just don't know when. And so we just slowly, methodically knock those things out and continue to get things. The things I tell you, like I told today, for those of you that have been watching me for a while, it's the same stuff over and over and over again, right? But that's because it's important. These are the basics. You've got to get this stuff, and it doesn't stop. There's always more you can do. There's always something you can make better. There's always another skill you can learn. Teach yourself something new, right? Pick something in your house and tell yourself, I'm going to learn how to do that. I'm going to learn how to make coffee today with no power. I'm going to learn to make some different laundry soap, right? I'm going to make some bread today, right? I'm going to pressure can some meat so I can get meat, shelf-stable meat on my shelves for later, because they're trying to get rid of that. How do I get eggs in my house? Maybe I can get chickens. Maybe I can just buy some and just start dehydrating them and start freezing them and start, keeping them in a way where I'm preserving them. Like, what's the plan, right? Maybe it's just staples, but what's the plan? Do it. Do not drag your feet. Do not say, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. I joke about this a couple times on different videos is several times. Maybe there's some laundry that needs to be done. Maybe there's some dishes that need to be done. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do them. And do you know, I turn right back around and be like, nope, because you do not want the power to go out and you have this whole sink of dishes, or the power to go out and you have 2 loads of laundry. Absolutely not. No, 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 no. You do not. You're going to feel much better if you make yourself do those dishes, make yourself do that laundry, keep a tidy home, keep things clean, trashed out, water filled, right? Dog and pet, bowls always filled, your water filtering system always filled, the coffee pot always filled. Like, have the things kind of ready to go at all times so that you have a kind of a clean state starting point where you're not having to worry about that stuff and the stress of that stuff when something major happens, right? You can immediately go into action of what needs to happen, Started watching The Last of Us. It's your normal, zombie type movie. Everybody freaking out, everybody running around, everybody making the worst decisions that they could ever make. Just right off the bat, the family, they're like, they don't even live in the city, but they get in the truck and they drive off, and now all of a sudden they're in the city and they're surrounded by zombies, and then it's just horrific. And you're like, they were already at their house. They could have just stayed there, buckled down, started fortifying stuff, and wait out while people are dying from zombies everywhere, right? Get locked and loaded, literally, right? Just so many bad decisions, right? But that is going to play out in real life one day. And it's to be honest, it's not going to take that big of an event possibly to throw it into chaos, right? So listen, don't get stressed, don't get worried, just keep pressing forward. If you're a new prepper, think about these areas that I talked about today. How are you prepared in them? How are you maybe not prepared in them? How do you push forward and get prepared in them? And if you've been doing this for a while, you're like, I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop. But don't get complacent. Walk around your property today. Take a look at stuff. Do not be complacent and be like, you're just waiting for the shoe to drop, and then the actual shoe drops and you're not. You panic because you haven't really been practicing the things, doing the things. You stockpiled many, many years ago, and you're to the point where, you haven't even looked at stuff. You don't know where stuff's at. Stuff's expired, or stuff's just not in a good way, or it's compromised. And you just got complacent overall with everything, how you kept things. You're just like, well, we're ready. We have enough. We've stopped. But you never stop. There's always something to learn. There's always something something else that you could be doing to get better at something. Okay. So I hope you guys have a great day. I hope your week is good so far, that you starts off good. Mondays are always, crazy. That's kind of how I'm feeling. I'm about to go to Home Depot, get some more paint. I'm painting this one fence today. And so we can start getting some landscaping in, so that I can start hiding pockets of medicinal plants within my normal landscape. So I'm super excited to just get that kind of planned out and figure out where I'm going to put those important pieces as we move forward with the development of the landscape itself, right? So you guys be well. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next video. Take care. Bye.